everyone, I'm Ian McCarthy of Lifting for Life, and today I would like to do something highly unusual in the context of YouTube content creation, which is I want to read to you a post I wrote on Facebook about dealing with depression. Now, I can imagine one would be skeptical of this, so to defend this decision briefly, I originally wrote this and I did perceive it as important and helpful, but a Facebook post, but the scale of the response and the positivity of the response caused me to think that I wanted to share this with the YouTube audience, and I considered simply making a video referring people to the post, but that struck me as very much lacking in substance. I considered discussing these issues in an unscripted fashion, as I usually do with other topics, but it struck me that I wouldn't be able to cover these points as well as I did in writing them out. So I think the appropriate approach is to read this to you. If you've already seen it, you don't want to hear it again, feel free to click away. If you find that it's an odd idea, feel free to click away. Those of you who are left, here we go. Depression is a uniquely debilitating condition and one which requires persistent effort to combat. Here are a few techniques I found helpful over the 10 years in which I have suffered from it. 1. When you first wake up, physically get up and out of bed as soon as you can. If you don't, you risk beginning a process of rumination, which can result in spending hours in bed, which itself can worsen your depression by causing you to feel bad about being inactive. To be clear, I don't recommend framing this in your mind as, quote, I must get out of bed, unquote, as this might create a sense of pressure which can be demotivating. Instead, try to frame this task as something which, fundamentally, you want to do because of its potential benefits. 2. Once you're up, if at all possible, do something you enjoy, and which makes you feel good afterward, right away. This can really set the tone of the day. If it starts off well, this can give you an advantage over it starting poorly, and you feeling like you have to catch up throughout the remainder of it. Some examples of things I've personally found helpful are meditating, walking outside, and listening to music. I think it's helpful to note that this need only take 10 to 20 minutes and modest effort. So don't think of this as some huge project you're required to do, as, once again, that kind of perspective can be crushingly demotivating. Instead, remind yourself that you actually like doing this activity. 3. There's no question in my mind that depression takes many forms, but for me, one of the central characteristics is rumination. Put more simply, I often find myself stuck thinking about something in a negative light. I found 2 excellent, although, admittedly, not unfailingly effective solutions to this. 1. Writing down what I'm thinking, and then writing down rational responses to these negative thoughts, and 2. Literally doing more stuff. The former technique works as a function of forcing you to confront the reality of the situation. It's far more difficult to hold to a negative belief if you have physically written down an effective, truthful rebuttal to it. And the latter technique works as a function of diverting your mental resources toward whatever it is you're working on. Is this a form of distraction? Yes, but it's one I find both effective in terms of making you feel better, and productive in terms of causing you to do something you otherwise wouldn't have done, which itself can make you feel good. And thus, ultimately, a healthy technique, very much not akin to distracting yourself by, say, watching hours of television. 4. Prioritize hygiene and physical appearance. Man, had I understood the significance of this years ago, it's hard to imagine how much better I would have felt. To put it bluntly, if you feel like a slob, it is far easier to think negatively of yourself more broadly. I'm still slightly in awe of how much better I can feel after a shower, and this point answers the question of why I'm not in gym clothes all the time. To be clear, though, if you feel great in gym clothes, wear gym clothes. 5. Consciously refuse to feel bad. Now, I will happily admit this is probably the most tenuous of these recommendations, and the closest to get over it or just buck up. However, I think there's an edge of nuance here which makes this recommendation different to those failed cliches. When I say refuse to feel bad, what I really mean is to literally affirm in your mind, or even out loud, the statement, I refuse to feel bad. Even if you question this, even if you know depression isn't something which can be cured with a sentence, making the decision to not feel bad can give you the spark you need to move on to something more substantive. Thank you so much for watching. If you found any value in the video, please do like it. I would encourage you to share it with anyone who you think might benefit from it. Thanks again.